How's it going, Starseekers? My name's Gotcake, and welcome to this mini review of Valentina, a Brazilian developed indie platformer where you play as Valentina, a girl who, armed with a trusty bow, is on a mission to save a kingdom from the Empire of Darkness. So diving into a new game, we begin in a house featuring 8-bit visuals, but on stepping outside you get your first taster of the game's awful mishmash of 8 and 16-bit visuals. You then speak to your first NPC who introduces you to the game's main plotline, but the English translations haven't been done very well, so most of the dialogue contains grammatical errors which often makes it difficult to understand. The basis of the story is that the Empire of Darkness threatens the kingdom, and for some reason your parents have been kidnapped by them. To save the kingdom you must recover various elemental spirits, and so on your merry way you go to recover the first of them, the Spirit of Fire. Now the game's controls aren't terrible, the basic platformer controls, but the jumping feels a little floaty, and for some reason when Valentina jumps, a sword swipe sound effect is played. Now our only weapon in the game is a bow for which we have limited ammo. Looking at the game's HUD we once more get a mishmash of sprites and text fonts, and in the top left we have our health, current ammo and potion count, and over to the right we have our coin count. Now the game contains various types of enemies, none of which offer much of a challenge. These include prancing orcs, coloured slimes, walking trees, and skeletons who dance about the place. But enemies only really attack us if we walk over them, so we can just jump over most of them, and lost health can be restored with potions which we find in abundance. Killing enemies generally yields ammo, potions and coins, and we can also find these within chests. Now it's worth noting that when you hit 100 coins a sound effect will be played, but this really didn't seem to do anything at all. Coins can't be spent and you don't have lives in the game, and dying simply restarts you at the beginning of an area. So we make our way through grassy areas featuring basic platforming elements which include moving platforms and pools of bubbling water which we need to jump over. Eventually we meet up with Joao, who if I've understood the game correctly is our brother. He informs us that the first element is found within the nearby cave, but that there are 4 entrances within it and only one leads to the chest containing the element. So after entering and exploring the cave I found my first entrance which did nothing, and the second took me right back to the start of the level. After this I ignored every other entrance and went straight to the most obvious final entrance which took me to a red chest containing fire arrows, which is presumably what it meant by first element. Now there are a few different elemental arrows in the game, each with different damage and velocity, and different types of ammo are dropped from different enemies, so you find yourself switching between arrows frequently as your various ammo types begin to dwindle. Continuing on from the cave we find a shaman in a giant mushroom, who rambles a bunch of nonsense about a war of 4 nations, an enchanted bow, someone called Davi, and the prophesized birth of a girl who will bring the 4 kingdoms back together, which is obviously you. We then meet up with our bro again, and that other woman, who warn us of a dangerous enemy ahead, and so off we pop to slay the beast. To reach it though we have to trek through countless nondescript green areas, and this goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. After about 20 minutes we eventually find the beast, a giant blurry looking golem who stumbles back and forwards, barely managing to attack us as we pepper it with arrows. After about 20 arrows we kill it, and then a sign pops out of its corpse, which takes us to the game's second area, a desert. Here we find more orcs and a few new enemies which include a masked shaman similar to the one in the mushroom, and bat-like creatures, but generally there's just more of the same dull platforming as we jump over pits containing wooden spikes and avoid hidden pits which aren't actually that hidden, and about 15 minutes into this level I'd just really had enough and called it quits. So to summarise, Valentina is possibly one of the worst platformers on the Switch. Its visuals look like they've been jigsawed together from different eras, both combat and platforming elements are extremely dull, and the game's storyline and character dialogues are poorly translated. So now it's time to rate Valentina. Now I rate games between 1 and 5 stars, with a shovelware stamp of approval reserved for the worst games on the eShop. This rating is based on my own personal opinion on the quality and quantity of a title's gameplay, and whether or not I believe it offers value for money. And as a rating I'd give Valentina 1 out of 5 stars. While the game is playable, it offers nothing of any interest, and I wouldn't recommend you buying it if you're wanting a decent platforming experience. However, I would suggest you buy it to support the developers in the hopes that the next game is better. You can get Valentina from the UK Switch eShop where it's usually priced at 89p, or from the US eShop for 99 cents. And that's it for this mini review of Valentina. Hit that like button if it helped you out, and let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe for future Switch content and reviews, and jump onto the Starseekers Discord to say hello. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, game on.